I can tell you that in virtually every case that I do, during the case I refer back to my record. The blood pressure seems a little high. Well, how high was it a few minutes ago? The heart's going a little bit faster than I thought. What was happening 10 minutes ago? Is it going up? Did it go down and did it go up? What is the trend? I need to give some more drug for pain. When did I last give it? So I can figure out when the next dose is necessary. It's absolutely part of providing competent care to keep a record of what you're doing. Additionally, you sometimes learn things after the fact. Patient might wake up with some sort of unusual reaction. What caused it? You need to go back to the record and see what you did to know why this patient had an unusual reaction. So even after the case, the medical record is fundamental to the delivery of healthcare and to the delivery of any type of sedation.
You talk about it being actually a responsibility
Yes.
to the patient. What do you mean by that?
This goes beyond that. This, I believe, is an unconscionable violation. Why do I say unconscionable? What does this have to do with ethics? If Michael Jackson had a bad experience, I don't know what, but a day later he says, I had a bad experience, Dr. Murray, what did you do to me? He has a right to know what was done to him. He has a right to see what the doctor did to him the night before. And with no medical record, he is being denied his right to know what happened to him. On the other hand, if Michael Jackson should not survive, the family has a right to know what happened to him. And with no medical record, the family has been denied that right. May I give an example?
Please.
Think about how you would feel if...
Well, phrase it in a different way as opposed to speaking directly.
I'm sorry, my apologies.
Frame it in a different fashion. The last little comment, starting with think how you would feel, is stricken disregard.
Yeah, my apologies, Your Honor. I know how I would feel if my father, my brother, or my son went to a medical facility and was there for 80 days and died. And at the end of 80 days, I said, what happened? He died. And they said, we don't know. We don't have any records of what we did. It is unbelievable that after, with 80 days of treatment, there is not a single record showing the treatment that happened on any given night. And I know how I would feel in the setting of having a family member die, and I can't be told what they did to my family member. The patient's family has a right, and that right was violated by the lack of records. And that is why this is an unconscionable violation. Lastly, it is a legal violation, I believe. There is a requirement under California state law to keep records.
In regard to both the egregious and ethically unconscionable violation regarding these medical records, I want to ask you a follow-up question, and that is, what if the patient says, "Doctor, I don't want you to keep records"? What is the doctor's obligation in that scenario?
To keep records. No question. The doctor has to keep records.
And who dictates that requirement, that responsibility? The patient or the doctor?
That responsibility is dictated by the covenant that exists between the doctor and the patient, that the doctor will put the patient first, and that requires keeping medical records. It is something that all doctors learn, and as mentioned, it's also enshrined in law. There is no basis to say I didn't keep records to protect confidentiality. That's just completely false.
Now, you've mentioned the need for medical records in regard to the patient, this case being Michael Jackson, that Michael Jackson's family having the right to learn that information. Is it also used for subsequent healthcare providers and things of that nature?
Absolutely. Let us.
Absolutely is the answer. The other phrase is stricken disregard. You may ask a follow-up, Mr. Walden.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
In this case, Dr. Schafer, the lack of medical records, that could have been provided to the paramedics or to UCLA, how is that seen, in your point of view, in evaluating the standard of care?
In his testimony, Dr. Murray raises the possibility that Michael...
excuse me. You mean in his statement?
In his interview.
All right, thank you. The first part is stricken. Start over, please.
Thank you, sorry. In his interview,